Well, shop deliveries this week. Sunderland train shop, I think it is, or Sunderland station. Got some Pretend point motors. I do have one pack of these. There are some resin print stuff on Shapeways or whatever the other one is, Thingiverse. Got these AWS ramps as well. Again, these are available. I think someone's, you can buy for a small fee. You can buy this guy's stuff, which I might do. And then you can print it off to your heart's content, because even at sort of £2.70 it works out a fair chunk of money when you want to put all these little bits and pieces of rail infrastructure in. Now I bought this chain as like the safety chain for the American tank cars, but it's a bit too big. What's this? 13 links per inch. Some of them just give it in millimeters, so you don't really know what you're scaling it to. But there is another one I will have to buy now, which I think is 30 links per inch, which that even, you know, I could do smaller. I've tried looking on sort of like the model shipbuilders, but some of the chains are quite expensive, and I only need sort of like a few inches just to do the safety rails. So yeah, I'll find a use for it, lashing down loads on the older style wagons. And these are a bit pricey. I mean, they're a lot more than that at many other places, by £2 or £3 if not more. They are just basically dummy cool loads. What I got the idea from some that I purchased that came with them, with basically they paint them in glue and then sprinkle coal over them, so they look much more better than the plastic moulding. I mean, you could matte black that, it would look better, but my idea is for doing these is just because they're uniform, and they slip in and out fairly easily. Because what I'm going to do is put a strip of steel inside, and as they go in the cool loader, I'm going to have a panel after, like, you know, would possibly be fitted for dust control or something, so that as they go in I can drop in a load. So, you know, the wagons will come in empty, go through the loader, and I will manually add in the fake load, and then it will trundle off on its journey, and then wherever it's going, if it tips its load at a power station or something, then as they go round and go through another building to dump the load, I will remove them, so then they come back out as an empty wagon, just to add a bit of operational you know, movement, so that you actually see a full wagon and an empty wagon rather than just a dummy load being stuck in permanently. Else I wouldn't bother doing it because it's rather expensive. So they're a bit thin on the ground at that price, so I managed to get another one from Peter's Spares for similar sort of money. I'm not paying 10 quid for them, so I bought this lot from Peter's Spares, a spare cradle. As I said on a previous video with the EWS, the option was to replace the EWS cradle with these to make them look like the earlier period. Assuming the difficulties of getting them off in one piece. Some seem to come apart easier than others, so I only bought one. I did have 10 in my box and then cocked up my order, because I'd been sort of humming and hawing a week over what bits and pieces were in stock and what I wanted, so I only ended up with one. But as I said, time I heavily weather them, I don't think it'll make a lot of difference. But I know I have got one with a cracked frame, so that can come in. And I did splash out a whole £3.12, I think it was, on the proper KD uncoupling tool, which is, yeah, you can use a kebab stick to slip between the two knuckles and just sort of rotate and it opens the knuckles away and you can move the wagons to uncouple them. But the reason buying it was because it's obviously also a dedicated tool to assist, supposedly, in fitting replacement springs on the knuckles to keep them under tension. Because you see in my previous video I had some high cubes and nearly all of them have got the spring missing. And graffiti, they're not cheap. This was £6.90 for a whole sheet of bush, so they do have a slight German hint to some of the graffiti, but you know, obviously shit is universal. Bit hippie-fied, peace and love and CND signs. We used to raid those CND demonstrations. Yeah, so yeah, you can't quite make out what everything says, but then that's pretty accurate for graffiti, some of it anyway, and then you get a lollipop stick to help put them on. So my idea is that some of them, if I can get we've got, you know, I've got those damaged tank cars, so I don't mind if I blemish those a little bit more rather than these. They're identical bodies to these, but if I can get them all out of the way. Oh no, I'll use this one as an example because it's easier to get to. Autorex. If you watch any of the American Rail fan videos, you won't see one of these in this condition. So yeah, I don't know how well they will go on. I might need to try a different transfer, because these are quite deep panels with the effect on them, so they may or may not work. You might need a lot of that decal softener stuff to help them mould in. But we'll cross that bridge when I've got the patience and time to do it. And I managed to pick up another Megapoints controller. It says version 1.5 and I think the other ones I've got a 1.6, but then it's got a 1.16 on sticker on it, so it may have been an updated chip. I know you could send them back to him and he would re-blow them, so whether this was like the old board and then just a reprogrammed chip. So that means I've got 3 of these now, because I originally bought these because you can do the semaphore bounce on servos for controlling semaphore signals, along with obviously utilising them for servo control for point motors. So slowly building a collection of them, and at the minute 3 of them have cost less than 1 wood from him brand new. So yeah, we'll keep an eye out for them. So the population has increased. I had a little bid on one item, no one else bid on it, so I got that set of figures here, and these, and that, and some prizer horses, all for £5.99. I think the postage was nearly as much again, so it was the best part of £10. But then given what prizer figures cost, whereas it's not a bad deal. So we've got a prizer pack of 4 horses. I don't know what they would cost, but probably I think the average price for a prizer pack is at least £10 or £11. And then we've got these people, which are, they've all been glued on little transparent bases, so you can, you know, reposition them if you so wish. There's various poses. I think this one's a rogue one because it's a different base, and it looks like slightly larger than the others, so that's probably a, don't know, 1/76 scale from one of the UK manufacturers at some period in time. These look like the plastic that the Chinese use, which is usually an ABS. It's sort of a harder plastic, brittle, when you have to amputate them to fit them in coaches and things. But there are a few different poses and some children which I haven't got many of. They're not bad. They're better paint finished than the average cheapo Chinese figures, with the odd exception like this one where he looks like he spilt a tin of blue paint down in his front. So that makes me think they probably have Chinese origins, possibly. But then again, these are better finished, as in, you know, the moulding, so I wouldn't have paid any more or less than around £5 to £8 for a similar pack without the bases stuck on. And it's nice to have a few mixed sort of groups as well, which is what sort of attracted me to them. This is a limited edition of one of the many limited editions they seem to have, which kind of makes them not really limited editions. But I couldn't find out what scale it is. It's a Lido Days Gone By. They do exactly the same one with a different brewery on it, and another one with 2 horses. Obviously it's a brewery dray. The figure does look slightly large for 1/76 scale, so I'm aiming that it's probably 1/64, because I have some London North Eastern wagon set of 3 vehicles that are all 1/64 unfortunately, so they can't be used on the layout. But I couldn't find. I sort of googled it, and you know, a few hits came up, but no mention of the actual scale. So yeah, it won't be finding its way onto the layout, I don't think, because it's too big. I mean, I know these are going to be 187 horses versus 176 or 164. So I'm aiming that that's probably overscale for both. So yeah, the figures and all that are the latest editions. They were made by a chap called Dave Fenn, hence the name Fenfolk. Nothing to do with the part of the world I'm from. But it doesn't seem to be that that website is in existence, and I couldn't find any mention of him on any blogs or anything. You know, nothing came up, so obviously he doesn't do them anymore. But then they don't look like they're unique figures that were uniquely made. I think they are fairly generic-y Chinese figures, I would guess. Might even have some very similar but worse quality painting. But then they are cheap if you want to buy them and just spend a little time touching them back up, versus the sort of cost of some of the sets now. You know, you want to populate your railway station, you're looking at spending the best part of £100.